The next president of Brazil em 2018.
Bolsonaro.
Olá, opressores. E como que está o friozinho aí? Estão tomando muito chocolate quente com pão de queijo.
Uma bolacha negrito.
Aqui está ótimo. Mas para o Lula deve estar difícil.
Eu não sabia não.
KKK. Brincadeiras à parte. E é com grande alegria e orgulho que saúdo e parabenizo o juiz mais corajoso do mundo. O juiz federal Sergio Moro. Recebeu o título de doutor em Direito Honoris pela Universidade de Notre Dame, nos Estados Unidos. Neste domingo, o juiz brasileiro exaltou os feitos da Operação Lava Jato e citou, sem mencionar nomes, que a investigação foi capaz de julgar e condenar diversos empresários e políticos poderosos, dentre eles, o ex-presidente Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, condenado por corrupção e lavagem de dinheiro. O seu discurso foi aplaudido de pé. Sérgio Moro falou que o seu trabalho não tem sido fácil. Ele citou o número de condenados por lavagem de dinheiro e corrupção na Operação Lava Jato. Foram 157, no total. E lembrou que entre eles há empresários das maiores construtoras brasileiras, além de políticos de alto escalão, como um ex-governador do Rio de Janeiro, um ex-ministro da Fazenda, um ex-presidente da Câmara e até mesmo um ex-presidente da República.
At the University of Notre Dame could have a positive impact abroad, all around the globe. This makes your responsibilities even bigger. Now allow me to say something about Brazil and my work there, because that's in part the reason for me being here. I think it's possible to extract some general lessons or suggestions for you from what's happening in Brazil. Brazil is the biggest country in Latin America, and it's the 8th largest economy of the world. It has a lot of points in common with the United States. After all, we are Americans in the new world with all that represents. We got our independence in 1822. You got yours in 1776. Both countries suffered with slavery in the 19th century. Both countries received millions of immigrants from all over the world. In Brazil, we have not only Portuguese, but Italians, Japanese, Germans, Lebanese, and Spanish. The case is named Lava Jato Operation. In English, they call it car wash operation. It's not possible to describe here everything about the case or to explain exactly why it has such a strange name. But let me say that different from our past of impunity for grand corruption, this time several powerful criminals are being tried by due process and being held accountable. Nowadays, as a result of this investigation, more than 157 persons were convicted for bribery and money laundering. Among them, there are powerful businessmen and politicians like executives and CEOs of Brazilian biggest construction companies, executives of Petrobras, which is a Brazilian state-owned company, and high-level politicians like congressmen, a former governor, a former secretary of finance of the federal government, a former speaker of the House, and even a former president. It's interesting to note that it was also discovered that some bribes were also paid by Brazilian companies for public officials and politicians abroad. For example, in other Latin American countries. Some of these countries received the evidence and they are building their own cases. Because of that, some people say there is a kind of anti-corruption wave all over Latin America. And to be honest, this may be happening in many, many parts of the world. We all recently heard news about corruption charges and convictions against the former president of South Africa and the former president of South Korea. In Brazil, I'm just one of many people working on this investigation. Let's make clear, it's the product of an institutional action by judges, prosecutors, and police officers. This work has not been easy. Old acts of systemic corruption and impunity are hard to overcome. There are threats, menaces, risks, and attempts at defamation. Some criminals and their allies don't want to change the status quo of bribery and impunity, and there are many, and they are powerful. Despite that, the investigation, the prosecution, and the trials are in progress, and Brazilian people support them. Since 2015, millions of Brazilian citizens went to the street to protest against corruption and in support of the car wash probe. A poll in April this year showed that 84% of Brazilians want the probe to continue. Of course, the systemic corruption uncovered in Brazil is shameful. But there is another way to look at this picture. There is no shame in the enforcement of the law. As once said by United States former President Theodore Roosevelt, now I'm quoting, "The exposure and punishment of public corruption is an honor to a nation, not a disgrace."
The University of Notre Dame confers the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, on a courageous champion of justice who has fought for integrity through unflinching application of law. A judge in southern Brazil who had studied the successful prosecution of corruption in Italy, his office was assigned a routine investigation into money laundering at a car wash. Despite the involvement of powerful figures, he presided without fear or favor, exposing a system of graft, bribery, and money laundering that reached the highest levels of government and corporate leadership. For his selfless effort to return accountability and integrity to public service, on Sergio Fernando Moro, Curitiba, Paraná, Brazil.
Nothing lasts forever.
Acompanhe e fique por dentro das últimas notícias do canal. Um forte abraço e fiquem com Deus. Brasil acima de tudo. Deus acima de todos.
Ensinando besteira pro teu filho, vai lá, porra, tirar a satisfação dele, que porra é essa? Fica ensinando socialismo, a molecada o tempo todo.
Tão grave quanto a corrupção é questão ideológica. E a questão ideológica é muito mais grave.
Não representa nada.
Chegaram as novas camisetas mais fodas de todos os tempos, que vieram para mudar o Brasil. Faça parte você também dessa coleção imperdível. O link estará aqui embaixo na descrição do vídeo. Aproveite, pois é por tempo limitado.